Welcome everyone. Today we have a special guide video on the Keqing banner. In this video, we'll go through a number of traps and also flaws with the new Keqing banner, and also we'll go through a Keqing review. This video will focus on the low spending and also free-to-play perspective, on the Keqing as a special 5-star character, and also on the massive cost that we can potentially spend on the Keqing banner, and why is it not worth it to roll for 4-star characters. We'll go through those. We'll also go through a comprehensive Keqing review with a build summary, with a level 89 Keqing with a level 90 Jade Cutter, which is the new 5-star weapon. We'll go through her talents, her damage, the positives, and also the flaws with Keqing. We'll make a character review on this video as well. And in our character review, we'll look at how to deal the most damage with Keqing, what are her damage attack patterns, what are her skills, and how to combo her for the most damage. As you can see over here, we'll be testing on different characters and also looking at her advantages and also weaknesses. Now coming over to this community poll on the Keqing banner, about 30,000 people participate in this particular vote, and you can see about 88% people voted that they won't be going for the Keqing banner, and there are several reasons behind this. Over here I have made a summary of all the reasons and also all the flaws with the new Keqing banner. We'll go through those first, after that we'll go through the Keqing review. So one of the biggest reasons that people don't want to go for Keqing banner is that she is not a limited character. What that means is, Keqing can be found in the current standard banner, and it is 1 in 15 chance when you get a 5-star item, this will be Keqing. And similarly guys, with the previous and also future limited banners, Keqing can also be found in those banners. It is actually 1 in 10 chance of finding Keqing. 5 out of 10 for the limited character, and 1 out of 10 each for the standard characters. So as we go through the game, there is always a chance of us finding a Keqing, and unlike the other limited characters like Venti, which we're hoping for a rerun, Keqing is not limited, so she can be obtained in other methods. And this is one of the biggest difference we should be aware, because the Keqing banner is the first of its type, of the non-limited characters that's joining us with a limited banner. Now because Keqing is not a limited character, we may be getting her with high constellations, and this actually follows to the next point. Keqing actually does not scale that greatly with high constellations compared to the other 5-stars. So if we come into the game and have a look at Keqing's constellations, we can see that her constellations will boost her damage a little bit with a bonus damage of 50% of her attack as electro damage, and a bit of the increase of any elemental particles, and a bit of the increase of attack damage, which is not massive. And finally, we'll be getting the increase of the 6% electro damage, which can stack a few times. But those are not game changers. And if we compare those with Ganyu and also Shao, who dramatically become stronger with higher constellations, especially with Constellation 1 and also Constellation 6, which make those characters very powerful. For Keqing's case, the damage boost and also attack bonus is actually very minimal. Artifacts can give us those as well. So there's nothing game changing or meta breaking with Keqing. And it's important that we're aware it costs about $200 on average to get each of the constellations. Because instead of spending our resource on the Keqing constellations, we may be getting a special new character. Why do I say we spend resource on the Keqing constellations? Is that as you go through multiple banners as we play the game, we always have a chance of getting Keqing. So if you rolled for Keqing and you got her with a new Keqing banner, you might still have a chance of getting her with high constellations. And this is what happened to me. I got her with 1 constellation. The damage boost is not massive. 50% of her attack guys. So my attack is currently at 2,300 with a special 5-star weapon, and that's not very high. 50% of this is about 1,700, and that's not a lot. So the biggest thing is, be aware guys, even if you don't plan to get Keqing to high constellations, if you went for the Keqing banner, you might still get more copies of her in those banners from the future, and this can be very costly. Now keep in mind guys, I'm not trying to say Keqing is not worth it, because as we go through with the Keqing reviews, there's a lot of positives. Because what I'm trying to do is, I'm trying to provide an unbiased perspective on the cost of going for the Keqing and compared to the other limited banners. And there are a lot of costs we should be aware before going for a special 5-star character. So coming on to our third point. From this point up to point 5, we'll go on to more banner specific details. So this also means for other future banners similar to Keqing, maybe a Mona rerun, maybe a Diluc rerun. Now it is likely Genshin Impact may be one of the first mobile or the Wish games or the gacha games you guys have played. What is important is to be aware of the cost or the opportunity cost of getting a 5-star. What that means is, if you have gotten a 5-star, this may be a cost to you as well. So there's 2 parts to this. The first part is your pity counter. Now as a free-to-play player, once you have spent your pity counter, whether it's 90 or 76, it is likely you have to wait 1 to 2 months to get this back up, and this in itself is about 150 USD of cost. Similarly, there is also a limited banner guarantee content. So as you get a no-limited character in the banner, your next one is guaranteed to be the limited character. Currently, it is Shell. So if you got Mona on the Shell banner, your next 5-star will be Shell. And this guarantee is actually worth a lot of money. If we look at the soft pity, which occurs about every 76 wishes, this one, the limited character guarantee, is worth about $100 to $150 USD. So this is also a very valuable resource. If you guys are not familiar with what I'm saying here with the pity contest and also the guarantee, I'll have the links of those videos in the description for you guys. Make sure you're aware of this. Because as you go in for a 5-star character, especially in the limited character banner, this getting lucky with a character can be very costly. Because in the future, if you're going for a different character, you either have to pay this amount of money on average, or you'll be having to wait for a long time before you save up the free-to-play resource. So be aware guys, you're actually spending about $100 to $300 USD because you're using your banner history. Now when looking at the Keqing banner, I'm sure most of us are looking at Bennett and also Negron as well. Not many of us are going for the Constellation 6, Barbara for the revive, but those two, Bennett and also Negron, are very popular. So point 4 over here is one of the common questions I usually get from our viewers. Is it worth it to go for the 4-star characters? Is it worth it to take them to Constellation 6? And is it worth it to risk my particular pity or my guarantee with the Keqing banner? Because they might not want Keqing, they might be going for Bennett and also Negron. And this is one of the reasons in the poll, people are saying that they're not going for Keqing, they're going for the 4 stars. Now keep in mind guys, although those 4-star characters are really good, it is actually not worth it to lose a wish or the pity counter. On average guys, it is going to take 36 of the wishes to get a desirable 4-star character from the limited character wish. If you want more details on those rates, I do recommend coming over to this video, which will talk about how many wishes on average can you get a 5-star that you wanted from the limited character banner, or can you get a 4-star you wanted. So this particular video will explain why do I say 36 wishes. On average, it will take 36 wishes to get any of the 4-star character from the radar banner. Now knowing that on average we need 36 for a Bennett or for a Negron, you can see that this is not worth it unless you also want a 5-star character. Because within 2 to 3 of those 36 wishes, you'll be close to Keqing, and you do not want to waste your resource from the contest to spend onto Keqing. Unless you really want Keqing, which we'll talk about her positives, the 4-star characters can also reappear in multiple banners. And just to show you guys how often those characters appear, if you have a look over here, you can see Bennett over here, and if you have a look, you can see Negron over here. And those characters will keep appearing guys, so don't worry if you don't get them to the higher constellations. And also Bennett with Constellation 6 can be a trap as well, which we'll talk about later. So Negron is really nice for high constellations, but keep in mind guys, those characters will always appear in the new banners to come. Also, we should be aware that those 4-star characters can also appear in the Paimon specialty shop. And it is important guys, we understand once we get a character to Constellation 6, the duplicates we get, the rewards from those are not great. So once you get them to Constellation 6, if you get another copy, you actually don't feel that good. So I'm not saying don't get character to Constellation 6, I'm trying to say there's no rush to get them to Constellation 6. Because there will always be banners in the future, you might be going for the 5 stars or the 4 stars. And also, you might be able to buy them from the Paimon shop. Now coming over to our next point. What we want to look at is the next best alternative compared to the Keqing banner, and with the upcoming banners and alternatives for our Primo Gems. So it is highly likely guys, Hu Tao is after Keqing, and she will only have about 14 days with the banners, and this is for patch 1.3. And after Hu Tao, we're looking at Venti, we're looking at Rosaria, we're looking at new characters like Ayaka, Dansleaf, and now Saramach, and also very likely with Inazuma with the Electro Archon. So there's a lot of new characters that's coming. And although Keqing is the only 5-star characters currently, with Inazuma, we're definitely getting a 5-star Electro character. So in that sense, it is important for us to compare to the alternatives to Keqing banner. We can do this for most of the banners, but for Keqing especially, we want to see with her banners and also compare to others, because her banner and also Hu Tao banner is only 2 weeks long. Now if you haven't subscribed, this is a really good time to do so. Make sure you also turn the bell on for the latest news as I find more of them for us. You can see that we're really dedicated for Genshin Impact. We'll have builds, guides, tips, news and events updates for everything that's Genshin Impact related. In this particular Keqing review, my Keqing will be level 89 with Constellation 1. I thought she was Constellation 0 because there's no difference to me. And she's using the 5-star Jade Cutters, which is also from the limited weapon banner. We'll look at this best combination, and also my talents are level 9, 6 and 8 for the respective levels. And on average, I'm dealing about 16k, about 20k with my charge attack, which looks very decent, but of course, I have the artifacts pretty level up, and also we have one of the best 5-star weapons. So those numbers don't look too massive if you compare this to Xiao, if you compare to Ganyu. Now currently for my Keqing, I'm using the 4-set Thunder Thermometer, and what this allows me to do is I can tailor make for the last artifact for the highest stats. So you can see the stats of my artifacts, they're going for attack percentage, critical damage, and those are my focus. I don't need that much critical rate because she has a very high base critical rate. We're going for attack on the sand, we're going for electro damage on the goblet, and also we're going for critical damage on the circlet. And my focus again will be for my critical damage and also for my attack. Of course, I couldn't find the best artifacts over here. I'm okay with some of the HP because with my particular weapon, I also gain a little more bonus attack from the having high HP. Now this is not massive because the weapon does not have the highest base attack, but this does give me about 200 to 300 bonus attack having the special effect of the weapon. Now coming over to a Keqing replay, there's a lot of positives with Keqing, especially her mobility and also her attack speed. You can see that Keqing can move very rapidly and she have 2 instances of E spell attack. The first E spell attack is to press E again after using her E. This will teleport her into the enemy. This can be very useful in dodging attacks and also dealing more damage and also charging your sword into electro damage. Similarly, Keqing can send out her E and then press for charge attack. This would cause an explosion on the area effect and this will do electro damage. This does not charge up her sword into electro though. Now on top of having multiple E spell effects, Keqing's ultimate is actually very beautiful and it actually deals quite a lot of damage. Keqing also have a really good attack speed. And also for Keqing, one of the best ways to deal damage is from her charge attack, which happens very rapidly and deals a lot of damage. As you can see over here, even if I don't have the enemies with electro damage, I'm dealing about 16,000 damage. And if we have the electro damage, it's close to 20,000 damage with each of the charge attack. Now as an electro 5-star character, Keqing can deal a lot of damage very rapidly. With enough stamina, I can break the enemy's shield and also cast my ultimate very fast, because this costs very low energy. And also after casting my ultimate, I actually gain a massive boost of critical rate, which makes Keqing very powerful. So if we come over here, what you're going to see is my critical rate for Keqing after casting my ultimate, which is boosted by 15%, is 91%. I can build into a lot of the critical damage and deal a lot more damage. And having this really high critical rate means almost all of my attacks are critical damage, and this is very consistent into high damage with critical damage. Now I'm sure most of us also know that Keqing is very mobile. We could be traveling around in the sky if we teleport, and this can make us great in terms of traveling with explorations, flying around and gliding. We can also defeat enemies using special effects. Because we can teleport, we can move away, then we can teleport back to the point. This makes her very mobile and also flexible in terms of combat, also utility with exploration. Now at level 90, Keqing also have 323 base attack. This makes her one of the top 3 highest attack characters in the game, with the Luke and also Xiao higher than her. Keqing can also build into 2 different builds. She can go with electro damage or go with physical damage, which is quite powerful with the synergies of superconduct with electro damage and also cryo damage. Usually with Constellation 1 Keqing, people tend to go for electro damage because of her constellations boosting the electro damage. Now after looking at the positives of Keqing, let's look at some of her weaknesses. One of the biggest weaknesses is actually from the elemental combinations and also resonance for the electro characters, and this is not for Keqing alone. Similar to the Geo characters before the Geo buff, the electro combos do not do a lot of damage. This is because they cannot deal bonus multipliers like the melt and also vaporize effect. And also, the resonance of electro characters are not great. Having additional elemental particles is not necessary for Keqing because her burst ultimate is only costing 40 energy, and with a 12-second cooldown, we usually can get a lot of elemental particles before the cooldown finishes. So 40 energy cost means she doesn't need that much energy. And this also means that we are likely not going to build for 2 electro characters because it's very underwhelming with the resonance and also for the combos. Now as you guys might have seen in the replay, we were able to deal a lot of damage with Keqing's charge attack, but this is limited by her stamina. Without her stamina, she cannot deal her charge attack, and also her charge attack animations also limits her from dealing most of the damage, because she moves back after each of her charge attack. So coming back to a replay, you can see that I'll be trying to deal charge attack. Notice that Keqing draws back after each charge attack, and enemy is pushed away. What that means is, I'm trying to chase into the enemy, and this means I cannot deal the most and the highest damage. Because notice that with her animation, she actually moves back, while she pushes enemies away. We really don't want this pushback, but with animations, we're not dealing the most damage we can, even having the highest stamina. And notice over here again, when enemies push back, or when I'm drawing back, this combined with pushing enemy back means I cannot deal the highest damage with a charge attack. Now being a melee character, and if you happen to have Venti, it is important that we understand after Venti's burst ultimate, which drags enemy into a cyclone, the enemies will be floating in midair. And being a melee character, Keqing might be missing a few of her hits. And also being an electro character, it is very easily to be overwritten by special debuffs. And this is especially the case for Chuan and also for Burnett. For Burnett, this gets overwritten with Constitution 6 Burnett, which we really want to try to avoid, because Pyro tend to override a lot of the elements. And for Chuan's special buffs, if we want to stand in the circle for the bonus attack speed and also lower cooldowns by 15%, our attacks will be debuffed or overwritten into cryo damage, and this is not great, because most Keqings are built for electro or for physical damage. So over here you can see a small replay of Chuan casting his E-spell, then Keqing casting her E-spell, which is supposed to enhance her damage into electro damage, but she is still dealing cryo damage under the circle. Notice that my damages are blue. This is not the best thing for the electro characters, and this is the same for other characters too. So having Chuan and Keqing, we cannot enjoy most of the buffs, and this is one of the weaknesses of the electro characters. And over here, we can see after Venti's burst ultimate, Keqing will have a little difficulty in hitting enemies. I can still hit them a few times, but notice a few of my attacks are missing, because enemies will be floating in midair. So this is something we should be aware, because being a melee character, Keqing might have trouble in getting closer to the enemies, and when enemy is floating, we might be missing a few of the attacks and also damage. Now as a conclusion for a Keqing review, to be honest, I really love Keqing, and she was my main DPS for 1 to 2 months before I got Ganyu actually, and what that means is, she is a really nice character. What is important is to understand that getting her to higher constellations is not very worth it, because each of the higher constellations, it does not empower her that much. That said, I really enjoyed playing her around, and I did level her skills very highly, level 9, level 6, level 8. And also I've given her a lot of good artifacts. Notice all those artifacts at level 20, and some of my best artifacts are given to her. Even with this, and also with a new 5-star weapon with a very high critical rate and also special attack bonus, Keqing seems to be performing averagely as a 5-star character. She is not outperforming Ganyu, and also she cannot outperform Xiao. But in that sense, her flexibility, her mobility, and also her combat style is very unique. So if you're going for the hero models, if you're going for the voice lines, her stories, this can still be worth it. But it is important, guys, that we're aware, while going for Keqing, that she is not a limited character, that you might be getting more copies of her in the future. And also, be aware guys, your banner history and also your current contest might worth a lot of money. So you might not want to spend on a 5-star now, because there may be a lot of more 5-stars that's coming into the game. And it's important guys that we are aware of this. Because a lot of the mobile games and also the gacha games, it is very costly to get a new character. And especially from the free-to-play and also low-spending perspective, we should be aware of the flaws of different banners. And to get the most out of the free-to-play resource, we'll be saving and also will be earning from the game. Now if you found this video helpful, make sure you subscribe and also turn the little bell on for the latest news. I'll be looking towards to make more builds, guides, tips and news and event updates for us as we come further into the game. And as always, I wish you guys the best of luck with Keqing and have the most fun in exploring this wonderful world.